In a dramatic twist that seems to spell trouble for Donald Trump's 2024 presidential campaign, a new poll from the New York Times reveals a shifting political landscape, with Vice President Kamala Harris emerging as a formidable contender. The poll, released in October, shows Harris leading Trump by 3 points, 49% to 46%. While this margin may appear narrow at first glance, a deeper dive into the numbers exposes an even more alarming picture for Trump and the GOP. This is not the kind of morning Donald Trump likes to wake up to in the midst of his campaign, where every inch of political ground matters. What's even more striking is that Harris has built significant momentum across a variety of voter demographics, including some that have traditionally leaned Republican. As these trends emerge, it's becoming clear that Trump's grip on the political stage is loosening, with cracks appearing even within his most loyal base. A surge in support. Harris outpaces Trump. The latest poll suggests that Harris has an impressive 93-point net advantage with Democratic voters, while Trump lags behind with only an 80-point advantage among Republicans. This gap reflects growing discontent among high-profile Republicans who have begun openly opposing Trump, a trend that has been building for years. It's a surprising turn of events that no one could have predicted a decade ago when Trump first made waves in the political arena. The only group where Trump maintains a clear lead is among white, non-college-educated voters. However, this is overshadowed by Harris's 23-point advantage with white college graduates and an overwhelming 39-point lead among non-white college graduates. The data paints a picture of a candidate who is building broad, diverse coalitions across key voter groups, while Trump finds himself increasingly reliant on a shrinking demographic. This surge in support for Harris is bolstered by the fact that voters see her as more empathetic and capable of addressing the concerns of everyday Americans. On the question of who cares more about people like them, Harris has an 8-point advantage over Trump, a crucial measure in an election where the ability to connect with voters on a personal level is paramount. The trend is clear. Polls favor Harris. Looking at national polls from July 22nd to October 5th, a clear trend emerges. Kamala Harris has consistently been ahead, even when factoring in those polls that Republicans might attempt to push as outliers. When you focus on the most reliable polling data, it becomes undeniable that Harris has the upper hand in this race. While polls alone don't determine the outcome of elections, people do. The data provides a strong indication of where the wind is blowing. Trump's campaign, once fueled by momentum and larger-than-life rallies, now appears to be running on fumes. His response to these polling numbers has been predictable, a barrage of disinformation and grievance-driven rhetoric. Trump's response, a familiar playbook of disinformation. Faced with mounting evidence of his declining support, Trump has reverted to the familiar playbook that brought him to prominence, spreading disinformation and doubling down on conspiracy theories. In recent days, he has posted about the so-called Russia hoax on his social media accounts, trying to rehash old narratives in an attempt to shift attention away from his faltering campaign. Trump has also circulated photographs of figures like Elon Musk wearing "Make America Great Again" hats, as if this symbolic gesture could somehow energize his dwindling base. He has attacked special counsel Jack Smith, labeling him as deranged and accusing him of political bias, a claim that has yet to be substantiated by any credible evidence. Additionally, Trump has sent out fundraising emails to his supporters with increasingly bizarre slogans, including a call to go full dark MAGA again. It's a statement that raises more questions than answers. What does full dark MAGA even mean? And how is it supposed to inspire confidence in voters who are growing tired of Trump's never-ending cycle of chaos and grievance politics? Bombshell revelations. Trump's secret ties to Putin. As if the polling data weren't enough of a blow, this morning saw another bombshell revelation that could further damage Trump's standing. According to Bob Woodward's latest book, Trump has been in contact with Russian President Vladimir Putin at least 7 times since leaving office. This news comes as a shock to many, especially considering the ongoing investigations into Trump's alleged ties to Russia during his presidency. But that's not all. Woodward's book also reveals that while Americans were struggling to get access to COVID-19 tests during the height of the pandemic, Trump was secretly sending those much-needed tests to Vladimir Putin. It's a move that defies logic and raises serious questions about where Trump's loyalties truly lie. Why was he sending COVID tests to a foreign adversary while Americans were left in the lurch? These revelations are certain to ignite fresh controversy and could be the final straw for many Republican voters who have been on the fence about supporting Trump in 2024. Already, the cracks within his base are starting to show, and as the election draws nearer, more and more voters may decide that enough is enough. A strong showing in Pennsylvania. Harris's momentum grows. One of the most critical battleground states in the upcoming election is Pennsylvania, and the early voting numbers suggest that Harris is gaining ground there as well. As of this morning, Democrats have returned nearly 56,000 ballots, compared to just over 43,000 for Republicans. This early lead is significant, especially when you consider that Trump only has the support of around 80% of Republican voters. When you break down the numbers, it becomes clear that Harris is likely to receive the lion's share of Democratic votes, while Trump may struggle to maintain a unified base. There are signs that even some GOP voters are leaning toward Harris, further complicating Trump's path to victory in this crucial state. Trump's strange Gaza comment. As if all of this weren't enough, Trump has also been caught in yet another lie, this time about his supposed visit to Gaza. During a recent interview, Trump claimed that he had been to Gaza and that he planned to remake it into Monaco. The problem? There's absolutely no evidence that Trump has ever been to Gaza, and his comments about turning the war-torn region into a luxury destination were met with widespread disbelief. Trump's penchant for making outlandish statements is nothing new, but this particular claim struck many as especially absurd. The idea that he could single-handedly transform Gaza into a glamorous tourist spot like Monaco ignores the complex political and humanitarian realities on the ground. Once again, Trump's disconnect from reality is on full display, and voters are starting to take notice. The role of disinformation, Trump's genetic theory. In a further example of Trump's penchant for inflammatory rhetoric, he recently made headlines by suggesting that immigrants have bad genes. This kind of pseudoscientific and racially charged language has been a hallmark of Trump's political career, but it seems to be wearing thin with voters who are looking for real solutions, not divisive soundbites. Trump's fixation on the idea that criminal behavior is somehow genetically determined is not only scientifically dubious, but also deeply offensive to many Americans. It's yet another example of how out of touch he has become with the electorate, particularly as the country grapples with issues of racial justice and equality. Harris's campaign, a message of unity and leadership. While Trump flounders in a sea of disinformation and conspiracy theories, Kamala Harris has been delivering a message of unity and leadership. In one of the best political ads of the campaign season, Harris has garnered support from more than 100 Republicans who previously worked in national security roles under Presidents Reagan, Bush, and even Trump himself. The ad highlights Harris's character, her commitment to American values, and her ability to lead the country through uncertain times. This message of bipartisanship and strength is resonating with voters who are tired of the constant chaos and division that have characterized Trump's presidency. Harris has made it clear that her campaign is about more than just defeating Trump. It's about restoring dignity and decency to the White House. Harris's national security credentials. One of the key reasons Harris has been able to attract Republican support is her strong background in national security. As a former prosecutor and attorney general, she has the experience and the temperament needed to handle the challenges of the presidency. In a time of global uncertainty, voters are looking for a leader who can navigate complex international relationships and protect America's interests on the world stage. Harris's endorsements from high-ranking officials in the national security community are a testament to her ability to rise to the occasion. As more voters become aware of her qualifications and her vision for the country, it's likely that her support will continue to grow. The final stretch. Can Harris maintain her lead? With the election fast approaching, the big question is whether Kamala Harris can maintain her lead and secure the presidency. While the polls are promising, the race is far from over, and Trump's campaign is likely to throw everything they have at Harris in the final weeks. Disinformation, smear tactics, and scare tactics will undoubtedly play a role, but Harris has shown that she is more than capable of weathering the storm. What remains to be seen is whether Trump's base will rally around him once again, or if the cracks within the GOP will continue to widen. If Harris can maintain her momentum and continue building broad coalitions across party lines, she stands a good chance of becoming the first woman president of the United States. As the numbers continue to roll in, one thing is clear. Kamala Harris is a force to be reckoned with. Her ability to unite voters from across the political spectrum, her strong national security credentials, and her message of unity and leadership have positioned her as a formidable contender in the 2024 election. While Trump may continue to dominate the headlines with his outlandish statements and disinformation campaigns, the numbers don't lie. Harris is winning the hearts and minds of American voters.